Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown with Bethany. I'm Bethany Ron Silva, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have today's guest on the podcast. I have been a fan of Jamie Lynn Sigler since her Sopranos days, playing the lovely and beloved lover or hater Meadow Soprano on the hit show The Sopranos. I have followed her career trajectory ever since then and was really just sort of moved and felt connected to Jamie Lynn when she revealed in 2016 that she had MS and had been living with it since the age of 20. Some of you may know that I'm a type 1 diabetic and was diagnosed at the age of 17. And let me tell you, chronic illness is very isolating. Motherhood is very isolating. So if we combine the both of them, then it's really just sort of like, a mixture of isolation, loneliness, confusion. So Jamie Lynn and I talk a little bit about that, how we navigate parenthood and chronic illness. It really is such an important conversation to have and for people to hear. Jamie Lynn also has a new partnership with Amazon, and she revealed to me that she's writing a new book all about her experiences. And if you're interested in learning more about Jamie Lynn's MS journey, definitely tune into her podcast with Christina Applegate called Messy. It's not to be missed. And definitely check out this conversation while you're at it. We're heading back to school. I'm a mom of two boys, just like you. Like it's always chaos. Like even in like setting up for this interview, I feel like I don't even like have a moment to breathe. So I'm just curious, like what does back to school look like in your household?
Yeah, back to school is probably the same as anybody else. I do my best to be as prepared as possible. And I think what helps me most is by like waking up about 45 minutes before everybody else. As much as I would like love to sleep in and stay on my summer schedule, like giving myself that time in the morning of a quiet house, having a little bit of a meditation time, getting out of my bed, having Alexa start my coffee, reading the headlines, the weather, just getting my fuel in, having my moment. Because once my kids are up, it's like off to the races. My boys are very particular about what they wear, so we do a lot of laying out the outfit the night before, talking about what I'm going to make for lunch or snack the night before because they tend to change their mind or protest about what I'm doing. So being as prepared as possible, laying out the things so that there's, less to have to, less decision making in the morning and the hustle to get out the door. It just feels like no matter how much time you have, you're still racing against the clock.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm so envious that you have the like night before preparedness going on. I have my 12-year-old is very picky about what he wears as well. And it's absolutely insane. But I mean, we're here to also talk about like how to make that a little bit easier. And I know we want to talk about Alexa and like the smart devices. And I know that I really lean on that a lot as a mom, just kind of to help, like, it's like almost like another person to help me manage my day. So talk to me a little bit about this partnership.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, I mean, Alexa's kind of like having an assistant for your life, whether it's your schedule or, the things that Alexa can do. But Alexa Emergency Assist is something that I'm really excited to tell you about because to me and our family, it's really important for us to have the confidence and the knowledge and the tools of what to do in case of an emergency. I think you can have these conversations with your kids about, a family plan of what to do in case of an emergency, and you can feel as well prepared as possible. But the truth is, God forbid, when those moments arise, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of fear that can sort of get in the way of that plan. And so, for us and for our kids to feel empowered that just by literally saying, Alexa, call for help, and they can do that through their own Echo Kid devices, and that you would be immediately put in touch with an urgent response agent who has all of your personal information. For instance, one of my kids has severe allergies to medications. I have my own particular health stuff. They can assess the situation, call the first responders that are needed, and give them all of that personal information. Also, your address, whether you have pets, whether you have a gate code, because in those moments, every second counts. So you're not having to run and look for a phone to make the phone call, anything like that. You literally just call out for help. And on top of that, I travel a lot for work, as does my husband. For my kids to feel like they have some autonomy and control over anything. They have a lot of fears. Well, what if this happens while you're gone? What if this happens while you're gone? They can feel empowered in their decision-making skills through this, which I think can bleed over into other areas of their lives. And I think it's taught them to prioritize their safety in situations, which especially, as moms of boys, like you would only hope that they can possess and have. So I think that these are like the little things and the tools that really allow them to have the confidence. And then, like I said, can help them in other areas. And then, the 25 emergency contacts, like I said, because I travel, if God forbid I wasn't there in the situation, I would be contacted immediately. And also if we're away from home, if the smoke alarm goes off or the CO alarm or even a glass breaks, it'll alert you. You can drop in through your Echo and like look through the camera to see what's going on and then choose to contact an emergency responder. Like the peace of mind that this can give you. We live in a world today where there's just so much uncertainty and it's so hard to kind of feel safe. And so any sort of peace of mind and safety that you can feel with this simplicity is priceless.
I love that. And then you also mentioned that sort of confidence piece. I know as a parenting journalist, we're always trying to figure out the new and best ways to instill confidence in our kids and make sure that they are feeling safe, especially at home. Could you expand upon that a little bit?
Yeah, I find that as a mom, and I've found through my journey of being a mom, like my instinct initially was always to do everything for them, right? Get ahead of them, protect them, have, almost hover over them and protect them. But I've seen how that doesn't help them. You need to give them the tools and you need to allow them to sort of learn and understand that they have the power to protect themselves in situations. Because the truth of the matter is you're not always going to be there or you're not always going to be around to help them. And so I have found that in giving my kids confidence, it's just been a lot of like trusting them and showing them that I trust them and showing and giving them opportunities to use their own voice and giving them opportunities to try and sometimes fail, but that's when you learn.
Absolutely. And you did touch on this a little bit, and I'll share with you. I'm a type 1 diabetic. So like having my kids understand maybe like symptoms of like low glucose, hypoglycemic, something like that. And I've really been just absorbing your new podcast, Messy with Christina Applegate. And you guys are so transparent. And I always love to talk to other mothers who are dealing with chronic health issues and kind of how they continue to navigate parenting, like with that kind of always sort of looming, because it's something that I don't think is talked about enough, and love that you are bringing a light to that. If you're comfortable, could you share a little bit how you sort of manage, parenting with a chronic illness and maybe how your kids sort of deal with that or how they're made aware of all of that?
I've my kids have only ever known me with MS, and I think that we learn as we go how to navigate. It's not like I've had a specific plan or a playbook of how to do things, but I think what I've learned over time is just being really open and honest with them about what's going on and what I'm dealing with, because I think that it makes it less scary. I think I found information makes them feel safer and calmer if they know what I'm going through, if they know what I'm feeling, if they know what I need, because I think that it's also teaching them to be more aware for themselves and understand that we can speak up for ourselves and say what we need or say we need help. I think that it's really been an example of that for them. And we've dealt with health stuff for all of us. And I think that as hard as it's been to deal with something chronic, it's also allowed me to sort of be the perfect person to lean on and understand. And so there's been a lot of like healing happening with all of us as a family. And I think that my kids too are just more empathetic and more aware and more considerate of people and their limitations, and understanding that it also doesn't define them and it doesn't mean anything and it's okay. And life can throw you curveballs and you just sort of have to, you can take it, you can digest it, you can process it, you can feel all the things about it and around it, but then you can pivot. And they've watched me do that in a very messy way, and not a perfect way, but a very human and messy way. And that I hope that when they're grown men one day, we can have, a deeper conversation of what that meant for them, if anything. But I've just learned, like I said, more than anything, I don't hide anything from them. I think that it's important for them to understand everything so that they feel safer to talk about it with me more than anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I do the same thing. And I find that the more I was sort of like hiding it and like not wanting them to see me do like injections or anything like that, the more questions were arising. But now they're able to understand it. And I think it does sort of offset a little of that maybe fear that they might have. And I know that, with parents, I mean, I don't know if you suffer from this, but I think at some point we all go through this catastrophic thinking, right? And I love that this device is sort of helping to kind of like offset that a little bit.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's you say we all go to sort of worst case scenario as a parent. It's just sort of like what comes with becoming a parent. So anything, like I said, that can give you peace of mind and can sort of streamline a really scary situation, I mean, is a game changer.
Absolutely. Can you share also maybe other ways that that you manage your mental health and take time for yourself to kind of like get back to you? I mean, with all of the stuff that you have going on.
Yeah, like I said, meditation's a big one for me. I've really seen its benefits. I started out in like just the guided meditations because I was like, how am I ever going to sit in silence? Silence was always deafening to me. You know what I mean? It just felt like the noise in my head was so much louder. I could never do that. So it started out with guided meditations. You find a voice, you find a person, you find an app that works for you. And then I sort of just eased my way into just sitting in silence. I can sit up to like 45 minutes. I don't know when I'm going to ever find time to do that again. But I went to India a few years ago and lived in an ashram for 11 days. And that, like, really, obviously, that's all I needed to do. And I felt the profound shift in me of just like giving myself that time, that quietness. And so that's like, that is a non-negotiable for me. Whether, I'll find at any point of my day, but just giving me, even if it's 5 minutes, it makes a huge difference. Also, just talking. I used to be somebody that really sort of dealt with things on my own. Never wanted to be a burden to anybody else, never felt like anybody would understand. But over time have felt more comfortable sharing. Obviously, Messy has really opened me up in a way that I needed so desperately, and allowed me to feel safe with sharing things that I'm going through and understanding that it doesn't, again, define me, and it's just a moment, and we're all sort of dealing with things all the time. It's just part of being human, and the connection and community, you really can't find until you share. And sure, also the beauty that comes from those moments of despair. It's kind of where, they talk about the cracks and where the light can get in. And it's just, I've really understood and experienced the benefit of sharing. And it's allowed me to share with my close friends and deepened my friendships and my relationships. And so I feel really lucky that I'm able to share in the platform that I am. But the lesson I try to give is that just that's available to anybody and how impactful it can be for your life.
Absolutely. And you are kind of touching on this now, and this is my final question, but you were so iconic, in The Sopranos, like playing this character, but I really feel like now you're like icon level as like someone who speaks out about health issues, mental health issues, like, all of this. You're so transparent and so open and so vulnerable that it really is kind of like shifting the narrative, maybe like with moms like me. Like, so and I know you just mentioned all of how that feels, to deepen your relationships and all of that. But do you ever take time to kind of reflect on like the journey from being on a show like that to sort of where you are now? And sometimes these unfortunate health things kind of bring us closer in so many different ways that we could never have expected.
Yeah, I'm writing a book right now about it all. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to like, I find too, like, maybe it's my age, but I'm like 43 years old, and you're kind of at this moment in your life where you sort of can look back and really reflect on what you've been through, and then sort of choose what you want to take with you for this like next phase of your life. It's kind of really where I feel like I'm at, but I also have to really honor and kind of process what I've been through. I think, for so long you kind of have these blinders on and you're going through life. And I just feel like lately I've kind of pumped the brakes for a minute. And I'm like, before I go forward more in my acting career and all of this, I just kind of want to like understand a little bit of who I am, where I came from, what has shaped me, and I'm sharing it, sharing every part of myself through that. And coming from a girl who like never wanted to say that anything was ever wrong and wanted to be perfect to now just like sharing every imperfection about myself is liberating, but also something that like I really want to document. So, which is what I'm doing right now.
I love it. I can't wait I'll be the first one to buy the book. That sounds really up my alley. So thank you so much for the time. And I'm really excited to learn more about, the AEA on the Amazon devices. So, thank you. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.